We've learned a lot, haven't we? You know it all.
Speak for yourself. I'm on the hunt for truth. Gods know not all your myths are accurate.
They come from the gods themselves, who are the most reliable sources we have.
You've both been a great help to me. It doesn't matter who's right or wrong.
And you would know, as the eagle-bearing demigod you are.
Perhaps he too is immortal.
Sure I am.
I do know one thing for certain. This has been an Odyssey I won't forget.
What's up guys, you got Crave here, and I finished Odyssey about 2 weeks ago with that much playtime. I'm sure you have your own experiences to validate your own opinions or probably took other reviews, but here are 4 things I'd like to say about the game. Now, if you're still someone who's on the fence, deciding whether you should buy it or not, this may help you decide. First off, it's a definite improvement over Origins. The scale is definitely bigger with more options available. It's basically a more robust version of the engine they used in Bayek's campaign. I really like the dodging and timing of your combat moves. As opposed to Origins, you have to be careful in combat since the shield aspect has been taken out. You either had to time your parries correctly, or if it was a strong attack coming your way, you'd have to quickly move away. However, I always saw the Assassination Creed franchise as focused around stealth. What can I say? I still like the stealth gameplay. And in spite of the poor marketing on this playstyle, it is very much viable in Odyssey, and it actually has advantages given that you can use your hunter or bow skills to augment such a playstyle. You could thin the numbers of your enemies via your devastating shots or ghost arrows abilities, and eventually move up to up-close and personal assassinations. Some of the abilities like Hero Strike are still considered assassination abilities, so any damage modifiers for the tree will still apply. What I wish they would have implemented though is the options to complete boss objectives via assassinations or more stealthy tactics. I really liked that this was possible in a game like Mankind Divided. It was possible to finish that game, that whole Deus Ex game, with no direct combat. But this is what Odyssey is, and again, in spite of the poor marketing, the stealth option is pretty much there. Second thing is that there are more secondary quests now that have more weight and meaning in them. Still, they aren't on the level of The Witcher 3. There are no bloody barons here, well, at least from my perspective. I think there will be a strong tendency for many players to feel that some of the quests may feel like filler material, but it's not that bad. What makes this unfortunate, I guess, is the fact that some of the main story quests require a certain level. So you are quote-unquote forced to do other things to progress the main story. Although abilities like the Ghost Arrow of Artemis allow you to cheese certain fights. Like for example, I was only level 42 when I took out the top level 50 Merc, all because of those Ghost Arrow shots. But yeah, you basically have to do some of the quests, and like I said though, they're not all bad. Some are funny, like when you speak with Socrates, and some are more morally ambiguous choices, like when dealing with Hippocrates. There are some moments that hit you in the gut, but the reaction of either Alexios or Cassandra aren't all that engaging compared to Bayek. Although Bayek did have a tendency to be over-emotional in certain situations. Overall, the 90-something hours spent wasn't too long, but it was really close to that point. I would have preferred a more contained experience. On the exact number of hours, I'm not sure what it is that could have made it better, but yeah, it was just close to the point of just being too long. Third big thing about Odyssey is that the ability, equipment, and inventory system in Odyssey is pretty much well done. For your equipment, you still follow the color scale that leads all the way up to yellows or legendaries. If you find yourself with a piece of gear that you really like, then you can keep it all the way and just make sure to visit a blacksmith to upgrade it. When I got my legendary poison set, that's the armor set, the dagger, and the bows, I kept it all the way to the endgame. That did, however, come with a heavy material cost. If you prefer a damage type like fire, then the engraving option is also there. As soon as you're able to get the modification you need, all you need to do is visit your friendly blacksmith again and change the damage type. However, I would suggest not wasting a weapon's pre-existing elemental damage type if it has one, and get something else that modifies something like your adrenaline gain or your critical chance. Now, the damage type also ties into your ability tree decisions. In the warrior and assassination trees, there are 2 damage type modifiers. One is for fire and one is for poison. I would suggest maximizing an existing weapon's damage type and then resetting your talent to get the talent picks that enhance the damage and damage type buildup. On the talent trees, I really like this format, and most picks have very meaningful effects. Even though I didn't put too many points into the hunter tree, there is that flexibility to pick out the choices that you would like to work with. It is a more put together system compared to Origins. Sure, you had more options in Bayek's journey, but they couldn't compare in terms of impact for this year's AC release. It was also basically through these talents where assassin playstyle is made possible more than half the time. One great thing about it is that it's really cheap to reset in case you're not satisfied with your current build. From what I can see, there isn't enough ability points to max out. So Ubisoft, I suppose this was the intention, Ubisoft made cheap resets available. What I would have wanted to see though are profiles for your talents and your gear. For talents, that would be obvious as some skills are more useful in certain situations, but the gear setup switching, that would have been amazing. It's really the damage modifiers that make me wish this was available. While hunter ability headshots or critical assassinations can be devastating, it would have been more impactful if you could get the damage modifiers from your gear that you basically just carry around in your inventory by having a gear set automatically swapped. I know you can do that manually, but it's a bit of a cumbersome process. Ubisoft could implement this whenever your Mystios is out of combat, or even include a 3-second delay if needed. I'm hoping this is something they can patch in. One last thing I'd like to mention is the graphics of the game. This is a very pretty looking game, and there's definitely more variety in terms of scenery as opposed to Origins. If there was any question whether this game looks good on PC, it really does, especially if you can max it out and get 50 something frames consistently. Even on the PS4 it still looks good, but I do admit that I do notice the difference. We only have the regular PS4 here at home, so it makes me wonder if the Pro version improves on the visuals. PC specific issues, it does have its share, like some graphical hitches or glitches, some cutscenes that are not displaying in ultrawide. I had to fix that with a hex editor, and I experienced a mouse hitching issue unless you constantly switch over to full screen. Still, these are basically just minor issues once you are able to sort of resolve them on your own. But yes, overall, I really enjoyed my playthrough of the base game of Odyssey. It feels like this is how Origin should have been, and if Ubisoft continues on this path, it makes me wonder what the next AC game will be like. Anyway, you got Crave here. Thanks for watching.
Get me to Megaris. Now.
But I don't understand. Of all the places under Ilios, why risk our necks to go there?
The Wolf of Sparta is my father.